We are in dire times. Okay, maybe not dire, but difficult times. And we experience difficult times throughout our lives. We tend not to think about them too much or actually reflect back on them and see how little much significance needed to be given to them at the time. When we have time to process and put into perspective, we see that they may have been major events, but not the life-ending events that sometimes we see ourselves in. And right now, a lot of people listening here may see that we're in a time of complete and utter despair with no hope and darkness. A giant orange cloud. So dire. Which is the word you used at the beginning. A giant orange cloud is coming over my monologue at the beginning. My one time to speak freely alone.
Are you calling me the orange cloud or?
So, but just to have heart and look back and know that someday we'll look back and be like, yeah, that was tough, but we made it through it. Because we will make it through it like we always make it through it. Every event that's come up in our lives, whether it be national, local, or personal, we've gotten through it. We are a resilient. Wow. Jinx, you owe me
There's not many words that would work there.
A resilient species that can get through a lot of stuff. So today, we're going to Free Flow, a Candy special, what she loves to do. See how much she loves it? She actually begs to be like, let's not be structured. Let's go ahead and do whatever we want and freely flow.
Okay.
And then I bring it up and she's like, God.
No.
Monologue, my monologue.
All right, I'll be quiet.
But we're going to start off and put a little bit of perspective.
So I can't fact check you? Okay.
Please be quiet. Next question, please.
It is dire times here, too.
Next question.
In this
quiet,
very
please.
home.
Quiet, please. Quiet, please. Next question over here. Thank you.
It's not funny. You're going to irritate me.
Lobbed up here. So we're going to take it and bring it and break it down into something we may be able to associate with to help kind of process and deal with some of the stuff we're going through and see where that launching point takes us today. No one knows. Neither of us know. Honestly, we don't prepare for anything on this show, really. If we put more than 10 minutes in preparation.
We do. We discuss things all the time.
Yes, but then...
Which that is a lot of our... We're together, so we discuss things when other people would have to have meetings. So do not tell people we don't do anything.
Well, the thing
and you
is,
spend hours editing. Okay, I don't do much.
I'm talking preparation. You know...
We do. We talk about things. What do we want to talk about? Is this a good podcast?
But the problem is that we...
What's this? You got a turd in your pocket?
Sometimes.
That's what he used to say to me all the time. For some reason, that was a saying in his family. Anybody else have that saying?
Everyone.
I'd never heard it.
You had.
It was never said in my family. But now I say it.
You had a saying you wanted to create in our family. You can put a T-shirt on a turd, but it ain't going to look attractive.
No, that's not the saying. The saying is you can put a shirt on a turd, but that doesn't make you attracted to it.
Oh, that's much
better. Say
it
correctly.
Someone forgot to do my makeup. I have a bit of a shine today, so that's all right. If you can deal with that, that's fine. But we're going to start local and go and see if we can break down a national and dire perspective into something that is
back.
Manageable. And she's leaving. She's done. The episode is over, folks. She's done. She's gone. But today we are going to try to break it down. Make it sensible. The shine
is gone. Makeup
done.
Done.
Something that we've handled and know and put it in a perspective that we can take and use as an example in our lives to maybe help us get through this and then see where the fuck we go in this show on Drop the Stones.
Hi, I'm Candy.
And I'm Dan.
And you're listening to Drop the Stones,
a weekly podcast brought to you by two people that are just fed up as all fuck.
Pretty much. And you notice I know people who are just listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, the two DW and Arthur behind you, they look like their butts are in the front. Can you see your own self?
Yeah.
Look at their butts or their fronts. Don't they look like butts?
They got biffs. button fronts.
Is that a thing that people have sometimes? I don't know.
This is the way Candy wanted to start the episode. Biff Talk by Candy.
By Candy, you're the one that said the Biff Talk. I found the Biffs, but you called them Biffs.
No, you're going to be out there on TikTok getting on Biff Talk.
No,
like,
thank
look
you.
at this button front on this dude.
No, thanks.
So, a lot of things are going on in the world today. And it's kind of weird. You, as you said earlier, during our time of fine dining of frozen noodles and canned chicken.
Tonight's dinner sucked. That's all we got to say. Moving on. It was all right. It was food in our stomachs.
I was tired. I was out overnight working, and I just wanted something easy. And easy sometimes is not delicious.
No, that's true.
Lesson learned again. But your mood today, I'm going to say, was probably all right through most of the day. And then you got through a lot of stuff you wanted to accomplish. You checked off so many little boxes today. And then you decided, I'm going to give myself a little respite and get on TikTok, and pissed yourself off greatly when you saw the condition of the country today.
Yeah. I stayed off of it mostly all day. Anything that I was on was not political. It was like, because I'm trying to figure out gardening and stuff. So it was that and some other just silly, lighthearted things. And then
the door got kicked in. Yeah. See, you should have listened. I listened to a podcast that came out today. It was it's this couple in the Midwest that talk about deconstruction. Drop the Stones was the name of it.
All right.
And they were talking about social media and how it can be good, but it can be bad. They're wise people. You should I recommend anyone that's listening, listen to that. Drop the Stones. It would have been episode 106.
Okay.
But talking about junk food for the mind. But anyways.
I thought I could handle some junk food today, but today was not the day I should have been doing it.
Well, it's going to happen.
Some days I can handle. Okay, to me, we need the facts, no opinions. The opinions are what cause me irritation. The facts irritate me, but they don't make my blood boil. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know everything that's going on behind the scenes. So I can hear the facts that let's say the guy who owns really ugly cars.
Twitler. Swastikars?
Yeah. The guy that owns Swastikars and Twitler has now access to our Social Security something, right? Something to do with social. Okay. I can hear that fact and go, well, my opinion is I'm not sure that's good, right? Mm-hmm. But it will be fed by hearing other people's opinions. The opinions are what causing, I feel like, my own agitation. I could handle the facts. It's the opinions that are causing the problems.
Problem is, I would say a high.
Oh, I thought you were going to say something else because of what we were talking about before. And I was like,
hey.
No. Stop. What are you doing?
I'm just going to show my
don't.
Heart
Stop talking. Stop talking right now. Stop talking. It's not funny.
You're not funny. You're not cute.
Yeah, it's not funny and it's not cute.
The problem is that there's a very high percentage of information that comes in that is a smidge of facts and a whole bunch of opinion.
Well, and maybe that's why Twitter is, because you're getting on TikTok and other social media platforms, you're getting
and that's the problem.
Too many voices. It's too much.
Many people get their information from social media now, and it's not so much the news, but honestly, a lot of times the news isn't much better because they're reporting their opinionated facts too.
Yeah, they don't just their opinion pieces a lot of times.
That's the problem is we came from a system of religion. So we're going to actually tie this into our fucking show.
To our actual niche that we like to try to stay in.
We came from a religion that we would be more than happy to be spoon-fed and got the opinions and just regurgitated that out and
Well,
vomited
this
out.
is interesting. So we had one opinion coming at us.
Yeah.
I didn't. I had different opinions.
You
at
don't
school,
have to look very
church.
far yourself. You can look at your family and see that most of them have one opinion coming at them, and they regurgitate the stuff out at you.
No. But what I'm saying is I didn't just get one opinion. I did, but I didn't, because I went to a school that taught different than my dad, which taught different from... he taught very similar to TV
There
preachers.
were differences in operation and beliefs in how they did, but a lot of the core stuff was still similar.
Most of it, yeah. You divide if you weren't.
Yeah.
If you didn't have the similar one, you would divide. Yeah, that's
so
true.
You had a lot of the same information just being spoon-fed to you.
Mm-hmm.
Subtle differences here and there. But you didn't have to purse through all the bullshit. Well, you just accepted it because you were told that you were accepting it.
Okay, you got to stop right here. I think I know where you're going, but I want to say it because it will help me understand, because I feel like I'm just getting an understanding. Okay.
Oh.
So
I'm going to put a graphic on this now when we do this. It'd be like Candy with rainbow. Candy's understanding.
Candy's finally getting it. A light bulb moment.
Oh, just ping.
You can put the light bulb right here.
Yeah.
And this could be the thumbnail. The thumbnails are always people like...
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay. Anyways, I just gave you a bunch right there.
We're getting there eventually.
Okay, so...
I don't know if pantomiming thumbnails on a podcast is the best thing to do.
People are listening to this in their car or something. They're like, what the fuck are these two clowns doing now?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we go from... This is why I'm having difficulty. Because I have a program of one opinion comes at me and I can just take it in. I have had this struggle since throughout my deconstruction of hearing different opinions. I like to hear different opinions because it challenges me. So I really embrace the opportunity to hear something new. The problem is, if I like what what I'm hearing from them lines up with my understanding of the world right now, right? That's always evolving. So my understanding of the world lines up with what they're saying. Then I go somewhere else, and it's not that this person is giving me something better. This person just says what that person just said is shit.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? And so then I bounce, and then I get confused, even though I lined up with this, and I hear this other one that's not giving me something better. They're just telling me what that person's saying is shit. And that's causing problems, right? But now in this political world, part of my TikTok is I do go on some MAGA stuff, so I can hear what they're saying about the same exact subject.
And that's not a bad practice.
No, I don't think it is. I would agree with you. A lot of times they have very different views of the same thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, sometimes the Republicans, the way they're talking about it is much more comforting, because obviously they're coming from this is positive, this is good, right? And they'll say some things and they'll see it a certain way, and I'll be like, well, I mean, if you see it that way, I can actually see it not being so terrible. It's not the ones nothing that's racist or, misogynist, not that kind of stuff, but like different little things that they're talking about. The big ones I usually disagree, and so I get on there and then I'm just like, oh, I can't stand you guys, you're so stupid, and I'll get off. But I could be wrong listening to the other side, right? And then you'll get these other opinions here and there. But I just think opinions, I don't know how to... I wasn't given the program at a young age to listen to lots of different voices and be able to filter very well.
It's not a program that you usually...
It makes me feel unsafe.
It's a tool you have to develop and work.
I know, but you're giving it to a young child. If you go to a public school, more likely you're hearing different opposing views, right? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
School. No, that's true. Where do you get that? Middle school, high school?
Well, that's the thing. And it varies for everybody, because you could, like yourself, when you got put into a private school eventually, you were still getting just one opinion.
I know. This has been happening a very long time.
You never learned it. So
college was different, I guess.
There's a lot of people in there. Sometimes it's college when you start getting challenged. And that was a key thing you said
that happened.
Because you're given this one opinion and you lend credence and authority to this opinion. And you still do that throughout your whole life. You're going to find people that you are going to respect their opinions on things a little more than anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to hear them talking like under the desk news. When she comes out and starts saying something, it seems pretty straightforward, factual, not a lot.
Yeah, I don't mind her. Actually, she doesn't add a lot of fluff. Yeah.
You can tell when she's going to add opinion in.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I think she will say something specifically so you can get that she's going to.
So there's opinion.
Maybe that's good journalism.
And it is. It's better than what most people have coming into it.
Yeah.
But you get these ideas brought in and you're lending credence to it. And that's the only ideas you ever had. So you're going to buy into that and everything that agrees with it. And in the systems we came from, you were discouraged to listening to contradictory opinions. The people that were giving you your ideas and your thoughts. Of course.
So I don't.
Were giving you their interpretation.
Yes. And if I was given a contradictory opinion, I was taught to fear it.
Yeah.
So my subconscious right now, when I'm hearing like, instead of being able to analyze it and think through it critically and go, oh, I have a my fight flight kind of turns on.
Yeah.
That's the problem. I'm feeling fight flight. Yeah. It's not that I'm scared of the other opinion.
And there's one of the things you just recognized in this is that you have there's another, remember in a few episodes ago, folks, when we talked about the subconscious and you deal with one thing and then all of a sudden you realize there's other things in there too that you got to deal with and they keep coming up.
That's what deconstruction is. It's just reprogramming the subconscious.
And this is a perfect example of it.
Yeah.
And one just got recognized there.
Mm-hmm.
So you get in that and then eventually sometimes people step out of that bubble that they're in.
Mm-hmm.
Some people don't. They stay in that bubble their whole life. And we've seen what that leads to now. Roman salutes and takeovers of government. But some people get something triggers them where they finally get challenged to something. Maybe it is going to a public school at a young age or later on in life. Maybe it's going to college. Maybe it's going into a job where people don't think the same as you. And it challenges you.
I had that not in jobs.
You're not hearing the opposing voice from people with inside your bubble like you had been all your life. You're hearing it from them. And you are associating the humanity with that.
Well,
and it's tough to reconcile that.
Well, yes. And if you think about it, most people are not doing what we're doing. We are trying to listen to both sides and from both sides' mouths.
Yeah. And that's kind of where I'm kind of going with this to put a button on this topic.
A button on it? Is that the beginning? You just say bow. So button, we're going to just start. This is the topic. Yeah, we're opening it up. It's a button.
Yeah, you can open up them buttons.
Okay.
Why'd you look down?
I was like, do I have buttons on? I thought I had a sweatshirt on.
I thought I had a sweatshirt on. Did I button on my shirt? But the thing is then when you start getting challenged and getting different perspectives, that's tough work. Mm-hmm. That's hard. That's difficult. That's draining. It drains your energy. And it's easy for someone to sit here and say, oh, I'm coming from this church, extremely conservative basis. Now I'm being challenged in one of the more traditional just kind of tropes is when you go into college. That's what all Christians fear is that college kids are going to get
if you don't
challenged.
Go to a Christian one, yeah.
So now all of a sudden these kids go into college and they get challenged on a different side. And what do some of them do? They completely flip and go over to the other side and just listen to that side. Mm-hmm. And we know a lot of people that are stuck there where they've just left conservatism and went straight to liberalism and don't balance it out.
They're still not thinking for themselves. Yes. They're still they're just saying those trope, whatever the answers are that they've been told instead of actually and in some ways you almost have to do this in some areas because you can't know everything. No. You just can't.
No.
There's a lot of politics stuff that I don't know, nor do. There's some that I care to learn. I care to learn more, and I have learned way more since 2020 than I ever did before. But there's some stuff am I going to read a full bill? Should I? Yes, but I'm just not going to. No. I'm just going to be honest. I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, and that's where you take and listen to people's
Then you're listening to people's opinions.
But the thing is when you go and just stay and just listen to like-minded people and don't hear actual perspective from the other thing, that's easy because you're just spoon feeding yourself some more again. And you're letting the opinions of that group
You're not spoon feeding
everything.
yourself. You're letting them spoon feed you.
If you want a well-rounded thought process, you have to dip into the muck and mire of both sides and see what's going on. And that is work. Okay. That is exhausting because now you have to, this is what's happening here. Well, no, that's not what was said. This was said. Now you got to look at both and be like, okay, what the fuck is real here?
And that's why I like to listen to lives, because there's a debate back and forth between, I don't like, so far the conservative lives that I've gotten on, they don't bring on liberals very often, at least the ones I've heard. I'm sure they do somewhere, right? But the liberal ones do tend to bring on MAGA. They want to talk to them because they're convinced that they can convince them.
Here's the
thing. Or
persuade
some people who listen.
And there's probably a good reason for it, and this is opinion, folks.
Okay, and mine is opinion too, because I don't know. There might be MAGA that do have liberals on, but I don't hear it very often, unless they're just, it's really bad liberal.
My opinion on this is, for the most part, MAGA is pretty undereducated.
Yeah.
And uninformed on a lot of ideas and topics.
And they're used to the bubble. They stay in the bubble.
And they're used to the bubble. So they're easy to debate. So a liberal podcast or whatever live is going to be like, yeah, bring them on. Because these guys, we can get them into the, what?
Yeah.
No, Trump. Type of response.
Or I'm having problems with my phone.
They're not, because you see it all the time. It is a niche on TikTok of MAGA just being like, this is what it is. And then someone's like, well, okay, let's actually look into this and see what it is. Yeah. And then they're like, okay, I'm sorry. And vice versa is that a lot of times when these conservatives are hosting it, they can't hold up to, again, the contradictory statements brought on by a liberal, so they don't bring them on. They don't want to look like a fool on their own
they're
show.
They're going to pick a liberal that hasn't done their homework, that doesn't. They're going to pick a liberal that just knows the lines to say, right? Because they're going to practice those lines. They're going to come up with their arguments for those specific answers that they know that they'll get. They don't want someone who actually can think on the fly, that actually knows how to reason through. And
that is
like, I would be a poor person to have on I would be a good person for a MAGA to have on, because I don't know all the stuff.
No.
I'd mess up somewhere. You know what I'm saying? I'd say something wrong or stupid because I haven't studied. Now, when it comes to like the stuff with the Bible, I think I could stand toe to toe with anybody. But when it comes to political stuff, I would not step forward to do those debates.
No. And that's just knowing your own self and being in there. So, I think a lot of them, they get skewed because they're going to control it and they want to be able to control. And a lot of times when what I've seen from debates that are held and hosted by conservatives is, a lot of times they bring people on, like both sides, they know they can control them. And most times the liberals think they can easily, and show that they can easily control the MAGA. But the MAGA kind of handpicks who they want on there.
Oh, yeah.
Because then they don't control them. And they also know that a lot of times when you see like Charlie Kirk, who's like, oh, he's this outstanding right-wing conservative talker that's able to shut down anyone, and all he does is just word vomit on people and yell louder.
Yeah, and whenever I've seen someone that is intelligent debate him, it does not go well for him.
No, and he just gets louder and more obnoxious.
Same with Shapiro.
Yeah, they can't hold ground with them, and they rarely go into. That's why you see them a lot of times at universities and stuff like that on these young kids that don't have a lot of world experience. Yeah,
they're going for that age group that.
Then they can do their drop the mic.
And also, they're not emotionally regulated, so they can flip out, and they will also go for people that are easy to, that are just, emotional regulation is huge if you want to be able to do this stuff. And that just is not it's not that some people are emotionally regulated and some aren't. You learn that by being in that field for a while. Like, take deconstruction. At first, like when I shared preterism with my family and they flipped out, I was like almost like taken aback, like I was stunned, like what just happened? And then I would get in arguments with people because I was trying to defend myself. And then I got to the point like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just wasting so much energy trying to defend myself. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't have to. And then they got mad that I wouldn't defend myself, but I was like, nope, not putting energy into this. And so I learned a little bit of emotional regulation because I learned like boundaries and started to understand that it's the same thing in this area. If we are not emotionally regulated,
Yeah.
we're going to waste energy on things that we shouldn't. We can't get mad at everything they're doing.
No. And that's, again, part of what's happening now, too, because there are smart people behind this that understand some of these concepts. So they know that if they can get us emotionally deregulated and get into just overwhelming our senses, then they're controlling what's going on.
It puts you in a state of hypnosis. And what hypnosis is really just high suggestibility. Like you are highly suggestible to what's being said to you. So if they get us all turned around and we're all scared and we're all like thinking, oh, this is so terrible. I'm not going to be able to buy food. I'm not going to be able to, we're afraid of our basic bare minimum needs. I felt that this week. I have felt like, are we going to be able to afford food? Are we going to, be able to afford our home? Are we going to lose our jobs? All of these things running around in my head. And then if I'm like that.
Well, let's just take that for a second here. Okay. And look at this. What is being caused there? Something's happening that they've put out.
Yeah.
That's caused us to
my life hasn't really changed literally very much.
Now they're in a prime spot to influence you.
Yes.
And control you.
Well, now they can say something less scary.
Well, no, not even that.
But they will have to probably. A little less scary. They can easily, I'll take on a suggestion if they're like, hey.
Well, I'm saying is if they do something that you can tangibly see helps you in that. So
that's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah. So all of a sudden now egg prices drop.
I'm going to feel comfort all of a sudden.
Yeah. And you're going to associate that comfort with them, even though they caused the problem in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. It's creating a, yes, that's what I'm saying. Or they can suggest something that actually is not good, but it's just a little bit better than what I fear is happening. And I'll give into it because I'm in a state of hypnosis. I'm highly suggestible to. That is why, and I don't know if we talked about it last week when I said, stop getting so worried about, like we have to, on that one woman's post, I said, we can't get all caught up in what the people are wearing because she was posting all this stuff about the women looking like Handmaid's Tale, right? At the inauguration. Like they were dressed a certain way. And I said, this is, they want us to get worked up over stuff like this. So we're distracted. And basically we're stunned into a state of hypnosis. That is what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
No, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They're trying to get you into hypnosis. If they can get you into hypnosis, perpetually in hypnosis, and I will tell you that most clients that come into me, almost always, if they have a religious background, they are in perpetual hypnosis. It's almost always the case. So people who are just beginning to deconstruct, people that are in deconstruction, if they have some sort of religious background, they are in hypnosis. And then you got to help them get out of the hypnosis that they're perpetually in. But that's what they're trying to do, because then they can suggest whatever and we will take it, guys.
Yeah.
We will take it. Don't think that you can't be hypnotized. You can, and you have been, and you are being hypnotized. So you've got to be aware.
Yeah. And that's, again, more work, tough to deal with. But that's just kind of the plot of it. I mean, a lot of it, it's almost like, are they purposely trying to hit rock bottom as fast as possible? So then when little contingencies are given out, saying we're at this level right now, we're going to drop you down to here. And if we only bring you up to here, you're going to be so thankful for that. But you're
That's
still
exactly
not going to be
what
where
I'm
you
saying.
was.
Yes.
But you're going to be thankful
even
for
though
that.
it's worse than it was.
Yeah.
Because you'll be thankful for it.
Yeah,
that is what they're trying to create.
They lowered your expectations and your ceilings on what life should be.
It's kind of like, okay, you come into a Christian church, right? Well, let's even say you came in from Catholicism thinking, okay, there you believe there was a hell, and you believed, but you also believed you weren't going there, right? But you also believed even if you were, you could go to purgatory and you could get out eventually, right? It's not eternal. And I don't know if you thought it was as torturous as evangelicals think it's going to be, right? Where you can't even, you're going to want water and you're going to just be like screaming and it's terrible. Okay. you come in and you come into an evangelical church and they say, this guy doesn't think he needs my faith. I've got to make him need my faith.
Yeah.
Therefore, I'm going to tell him, you know what? Catholics are going to an eternal torture chamber, no escape, no way out. And you're going to go there if you don't believe what I'm believing. Okay. Then scares you enough, gets you convinced enough. You're like, well, it's the solution. You just got to follow this God. And this God comes with a lot of rules, a lot of strings attached, as we know. You follow this God and you'll be good. And then you're like, okay. And then you realize you just went into a worse situation than you had before, because now your whole life feels like hell, right? A mild form of it, of what you're supposed to expect if you don't do it. And there's no way out until you are basically, some sort of enlightenment has to happen to get you out of it. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That's how their mindset works. It's how the system works, is tear you down farther than you are and then bring you back up a little bit, but you're not even near where you were.
Yeah. And that's what an oligarchy wants to do, because they want to keep pillaging from, and the only place to pillage from now is the lower people. So they got to keep pushing them farther and farther down, getting a greater disparity in wealth.
And it's not about money, though. It can't be about money. What is it about? Just power?
Money and power.
Okay, they have the power now. Like, what more do they want now?
They want absolute money and absolute power.
But then do they want no people? Like, are they trying to they trying to kill us all off? What are they trying to do?
But they want people subjugated to them and utterly dependent
upon them. I don't understand why.
Because then they have all that absolute power and control.
But why do you want that power for? What are you going to do with it? I mean, do you just want to hurt people?
You can do whatever you want.
I don't understand. I just don't understand it. I don't understand being that way. I don't understand thinking that way.
Person.
But these guys are like mind-blowing that people think this way.
These guys are sociopaths.
I understand, but it's just, I don't understand.
And they want everything catered to them. Their every need and want and desire catered to them. And when people are absolutely dependent upon them at all time, they can force them people to do whatever they want. Because then people are...
But then nobody loves you for you.
They don't care. Saying? They love the fact that they can still live.
I don't understand why that's appealing. Why is that life appealing to somebody?
That's the God you were raised to believe and love.
Is it, though? That's not the God I was ever following, though. That's the problem. I think almost now I'm looking back, and if this is what Christians believe, then I wasn't a real Christian. Like, they're right.
Yeah.
I followed Jesus, but not Christianity. Yeah. Like, if that is the God that really is there in their belief system, like, having bossing people around or being in charge of everybody, I don't understand that kind of.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't taught that kind of God.
Their God doesn't want freedom. Their God doesn't want uniqueness and individuality. Their God wants conformity and absolute and utter obedience. And without utter obedience and catering to every whim, where you go kill your son on top of the mountain.
Yeah. Or you love your children. I think I love your children more than God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember that one.
Yeah.
I remember even thinking, like, do I? I don't know if I would,
So you know what that personality is because you've come from a faith that taught that and believed that. Even if you didn't believe it and teach it yourself. You know people in your life that believe like that.
Oh, yeah. I know people that would definitely.
You have at least one parent that would sacrifice you willingly if God called out to them to sacrifice you.
Yeah. That's so sad, and that's a really sad thing to say. That's a sad thing to say, but you're right.
If you get a phone call, don't go to any mountains and carry wood.
Okay, noted.
They probably couldn't make it up the mountain anyways. You'd have to help them up. But, I mean, that's the type of person you're dealing with. It's the manifestation of their God.
Well, and those are the types of people, like people that would sacrifice their own children for this belief.
Mm-hmm.
They will sacrifice their children. And what's weird is that's why it almost looks like even in the Old Testament, there's a different God.
Yeah.
Because there is a God that says, like, I do not delight in sacrifice. And yet you have also a God saying sacrifice animals, right?
Mhm.
It's really weird. It's almost like there's another message
There
running
is.
right alongside, but
Because
it's just quieter.
because Christianity and Judaism is rooted in polytheism.
Well, Judaism is, but Christianity isn't.
Christianity's roots are Judaism.
They'd like to say it, but it isn't, though. Judaism is there's something different about it.
Yeah, but Christianity branched off of it.
Claims to, but I'm just saying,
No,
I don't.
I know what you're saying, but they can
it's,
say whatever they want, but that's just the simple fact and truth.
well, and I think there's Judaism isn't just one, there might have been two, because wasn't there two groups of the tribes too? There was the 12 tribes split into Judah and...
Well, then we can get into LDS and say that the other tribe was the Native American people.
Is that what they say? I don't even know.
The lost tribe of Israel.
The lost tribe of Israel is the Native American people.
Yeah.
Well, do they welcome Native American people then in Mormonism?
No, because that tribe was banished because they did something awful. Okay. That's why they're over here.
Okay. Anyways, so yeah, it's just interesting because people that we love, you're right, would in a heartbeat if they thought God told them. And in a way they did, because I disagreed with their understanding of that God.
Yeah. Well, and they're sacrificing their kids in every time, all the time, whenever they take their children and take their individuality and uniqueness away from them.
Yeah.
Whatever it may be.
Don't allow it to blossom and grow.
It's not Christian. It's not in the belief system.
Yeah.
Stop. They're sacrificing that kid's personality, their life, and everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And they've done it themselves.
Well, and that's exactly what parents of LGBTQ children are doing when they kick their child out. They are sacrificing their child to their God.
Yeah.
And I will never worship a God that asks me to sacrifice my child.
Yeah.
That is asinine.
Yeah.
And to prove your love that's exactly what they're doing, except for in this case, their child isn't being it's not being spared. Like, I think the whole point of Abraham that you could take away from him, the story of him and Isaac, I don't think it's true, but let's just say it is. He thought God was going to do that. So he went there and when he gets there, the God's like, there's a ram, right there. And I don't know what he says to him. Does he say now I can trust you? That's the message that we get. Oh, now God could trust Abraham because he was willing to do that for him. And that's really what parents are trying to do. They're trying to show that God hey, you can trust me because look what I did. I'm willing to even give up my kid for you.
Yeah.
And then they're going to be so disappointed when they die and they realize, wow, that was not what you were supposed to be doing.
That almost proves that the Bible is man-made, because it's a contradictory of the idea of God, where God is supposed to be all omnipotent and omnipresent and knows all your thoughts before you even have them.
Mm-hmm.
Why would he have to test Abraham to know what his thoughts were and if he trusted him, if he already knew it beforehand?
Well, he would have to test him to see if...
It was a test just for Abraham to prove to himself that he believed it.
Mm-hmm.
God didn't need to do that.
No.
So it's a test for man to prove his diligence to God, which all religions did. How are we going to prove that we love these gods? Well, let's offer up a virgin at the top of the temple.
But they would say that is testing their faith.
Yeah.
But God, there's also a verse that says God doesn't test anybody.
Yeah.
He doesn't tempt anybody. And they would say the test is you're tempted and you don't fall for it. But I would say the test is you hold that faith up to scrutiny. And if it holds up, then keep it. Yeah. If it doesn't, it's just basically think of your faith as your opinion. Yeah. If your opinion holds up to scrutiny, really analyzing it against facts coming at you, right? If it holds up, keep holding on to it till it
Yeah.
doesn't hold up anymore. If
Yeah.
it doesn't hold up, you let go of it. That's the testing of faith. But when we were Christians, the testing of faith was, I'm tempted. Will I give into the temptation or will I not?
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying is that the Bible, this almost proves that the Bible was created by man instead of being God inspired. Because why would God write something that he's inspired saying that, oh, you passed my test. Now you've proven your worth to me. He wouldn't need to.
Because he would know everything.
The worth
so
and everything.
Either it proves the Bible's not true or God doesn't know everything.
Yeah. And
or both.
Or the Bible is written by man who acts like that. What does man do if they want to, I love you. Let me prove it to you. And then you do stuff to prove it.
Yeah.
Or I'm an honest person. Yeah. Let me prove it to you. And they prove it. That's man.
So man is outward trying to prove love instead of just being that love.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's true.
So, I mean, you can see it's very much the influence of man, not so much a divine all-knowing deity.
Yeah. Definitely not all-knowing for sure. If it is a deity,
yeah,
it's not all-knowing. And if it's not all-knowing, why are we assuming it knows what's right or wrong in a situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, yeah, you just created another area where the Bible can be it just crumbles under that test. Yeah. That's just common sense. Like, it can't be all knowing if it didn't know in advance what. Okay. So they would say, if I was a Christian and I heard you saying this, I would say, well, he did know in advance, but he needed to show Abraham his faith so Abraham could be encouraged.
Which sounds an awful lot like man's reasoning and man's writing.
But they'll say, but they got that from God.
Yeah, I know they'll say that, but it just doesn't line up with an all-powerful. What kind of God is that then? That's going to do shit like that.
He's a good God because he was showing Abraham, look, you really do trust me. Was Abraham doubting his trust? I don't think so.
Yeah, but
Abraham wasn't doubting his own faith. He might have been doubting the God that he believed in, but he wasn't doubting his own faith in that God.
Again, what kind of God would put you through a trial like that of proof?
It doesn't matter. If he's all knowing everything, you better obey him or he's going to put you in.
It's like, well, when you're a Christian and things aren't going well in your life and they're all going to shit, you're on a trial. God's just testing your faith. Well, what fucking kind of God tests your faith like that?
Well, they will say it doesn't matter.
Miserable.
They will say it doesn't matter because he can put you in hell, so you better just obey him regardless of whether you like it or
what kind of God is that? Why is that a God you want to worship?
They don't care because they don't want to go to hell.
Yeah, you're worshiping a God out of fear of a vengeful, unloving God.
So so that's the thing is, then your idea of heaven is living with a vengeful, angry, petty God.
Yes.
That's your idea of heaven?
That would be like living in America right now. Boom! Hell!
That's not encouraging, but hey, it's true.
Anywho, yeah. So, I mean, but that's it. And there's another sign of that. This is fallen more of a man type thing than a divine inspired type thing, where you see examples of what this divine inspiration was acting out in the world at different times and different eras and whatever of, that seems to point more of a man-made thing, but whatever. Continue on. It's all fake, you bastards.
Well, I mean, there's, but like I said, too, I think there is a thread of a good, not a God being, but that there's some good source. There is something that's good that's running through. There is a different, there's some guy who early on said that looked like there was two gods in the Old Testament. And I need to look into him because I remember hearing about him in early deconstruction, but I was like, it was so blasphemous to people that I didn't go there, but now I could.
Yeah.
But I just think it's interesting because there's certain things that are said, and then there's this very terrible sounding God in the Old Testament too, that doesn't sound like Jesus. And there was always that struggle of this God looks so angry and so vindictive, and then you have Jesus, and he seems so soft.
There was
and
multiple gods,
merciful,
and that God sounds like the 47th God.
Yeah, with his little sidekick, Elijah, or Esau or whatever. What'd you say?
Elonja.
Elijah. I've heard people say Elena or Ellen. Ellen and his orange girlfriend. That's what I saw on something, and I was just like, that made me laugh.
Anywho, where were we?
We got on a tangent of like there's the Bible being more so
skewed. That was my fault, folks. I'm sorry.
That was good.
I apologize.
Why would you apologize for tangents? That's normal. That's how you communicate.
It sounds like someone that loves tangents.
Everybody loves tangents, for crying out loud, don't they? Who wants to stay on one course? That's so boring if you just stay at... That's like when you go to a lecture.
Who wants to get somewhere efficiently?
Do you think tangents, that's a spice of life? Are you kidding me? Think about you're going down a path. You keep going down that path more
Clark
than...
Griswold. Hey, large bulge twine 50 miles out on our way over here. Let's go see that.
Okay, but that's the little side things in life are what make life interesting. If it was just straight from A to B, just exactly as you had it planned, how boring.
You get to B quicker. You get to enjoy B more.
No, you don't, because you don't get to enjoy B because that has lots of tangents in it.
Not if you planned it right.
So you want everything to just go exactly as you plan it all the time?
Well, that'd be a utopia.
The things that throw you off, as frustrating as they are, they do make your day enjoyable. The ups, the downs, the frustrations, the happiness.
Say all of them make my day enjoyable.
You wouldn't experience elation if you didn't have like depression. Yeah, but you wouldn't have those if you didn't feel the other.
Yeah.
You would just be like, this is a day.
Oh, there, we can get on that. There's a good thing. Heaven. Continuing on this, but just to put a picture to it, the Christian heaven that was always taught.
Yes.
Was.
Oh, okay. I guess that was a good, I see where you're going.
Oh, thank you. Great minds think a lot.
I think a lot?
Yeah.
I've never heard that one. But
I just made it up. It's
you
true.
Did not just make it up. You did? That's actually pretty good.
So, but heaven, the Christian heaven was this place. It was just utopia, right? Everything was going to be great. You're going to be able to worship God and nothing. It was going to be a big, big house.
With lots and lots of rooms. A big, big table with lots and lots of food. If anybody knows what that is.
Yard. We can play some football.
We can play football. A big, big house. It's my father's house. Probably shouldn't be singing on the internet.
So it was all that, and everything was great. How would you know if you enjoyed it or not? Because how do you really know you enjoy anything in life today? I know I like some dinners because tonight's dinner wasn't good.
Sucked.
Exactly. But you need that
sugar-free Jell-O afterwards was nice. It was a nice little touch.
You need that contrast in life, which what you're speaking to, Yes, I sit around here and joke of, I would love to go to A to B directly and efficiently in the most straight.
But now, guys, you hear him coming back around to what I was saying? He gets it now.
Married for 27 years.
This is where Dan, he's getting it now.
It goes, Dan, married 27 years.
No, make some faces for thumbnails. Be like,
again, this is not good for an audio platform. So you need that contrast, you need that contradiction to show you light and dark in life and see what in the middle is not so bad because you got the highs and lows, and this is kind of an equilibrium of everywhere to be. Heaven would suck.
Yeah.
Especially the Christian heaven, because there would be no contrast.
Yeah.
It's not allowed.
Contrast is absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
For life in general. I mean, contrast is caused by light, right? You wouldn't be able to see anything without contrast. Like, there's just nothing without contrast. You can't hear, you can't see, you can't taste, you can't touch. That's what all your senses are picking up on, the contrast, right? Mm-hmm. They're pulling in something different. This is different information. This is different than what we were, it'll tune out things that it hears too much. Like, you start to tune out the sounds in the room. Yeah. Unless you're in like a meditative state or something, you're starting to listen for them. But otherwise, you tune them out. until something different happens. And then your ears pay attention. You need contrast so that you can do anything.
Yeah.
Right? Even down to the physical contrast, just little physical things with your physical body. But that expands out into like emotions are no different. If you don't have contrast of emotions, you are not going to, now we have different ranges. Like I can maybe get more excited than you get. You get excited, but well, maybe it's just we express it differently. I express it through my body, and you tend to just be like, I'm excited.
I'm excited.
No, you have a different, like when you're excited, you have a more, you walk a little lighter, your eyes are kind of twinkly. No, I can definitely tell when you're excited. You do have, oh God, Dan, really? I just gave that right out there, didn't I?
Hopefully I didn't.
Oh my God.
Not going to be able to be on a video then. Anywho, so you can tell when I'm excited.
Okay. By your facial expressions, okay? Anyways, so like we have different ranges, but we all need those. We need we need them, or life just I think that's pretty much why we're here, is just to experience those.
You can't have life would just be bland if it was all good.
Yeah. Think of bland. Think of eating food that has no flavor to it.
Or if it was all bad, you wouldn't know. You're just like, this is life. All right, here's my plain broiled chicken breast, and thanks.
Well, it's kind of like you see an older couple that's miserably married, right? They haven't gotten there overnight. It's just been a slow drifting of each other, right? Yeah. So that they're at a point where like, this is it. They don't remember what it's like. They actually think it's not for them. It's for like the young to be excited about being in a relationship. And then they're just like, this is what long relationships look like. This is what they are. And so they never feel different because they don't.
Well, they don't spice it up. They don't
try.
Yeah. They don't try new things. They just got in a rut.
Yeah. They get in a rut and then they stay there and they never experience. But if they get a little experience of, oh, we can have fun again together, then all of a sudden they know there's a range again. You know, it's, I know it's probably a dumb analogy, but just something like that, like where you just kind of, you can get in these naturally where you get out of it and like boredom. Let's take boredom. Because I deal with clients and the emotional spectrum. Boredom is not a terrible one. Boredom and apathy, what will happen is it's right in the kind of the middle. What will happen is the boredom will get so high that in order to feel, you will do something about it. You might go down the spectrum into lower vibrations, get sad or angry, right? But those are okay too, because they will eventually swing. You'll start going up, and then you'll go to like, gratitude and happiness, and you can work your way out of those emotional states. But boredom is not terrible. It just you just know that change is coming at some point if someone gets bored. But some people will stay there for years, but that contrast that we use for our physical senses is also an emotional thing that we have to have. And so then take that on to heaven. We all believe as Christians, or believed as Christians, that there was emotional states in heaven, right? There was a question over, will you be in your physical body? Will your physical body need to eat? Will it, you know what I'm saying? So if we don't need to taste anymore, that takes away one of the senses, right? But then some people are like, yeah, everything just tastes amazing. Then the question became, do you have to go to the bathroom in heaven? Because we shame going to the bathroom. And so that was a thing. Like these were literal conversations in my family.
Would shit
my
taste
mom would
amazing?
say nobody will go to the bathroom. What?
Would shit taste amazing?
My mom would say that nobody goes to the bathroom.
Oh.
So you wouldn't even have shit to eat.
Like America.
But she definitely, she enjoyed tasting. So she was like, oh, the food will be amazing. It will taste like she'd heard like someone who came back from the dead, or near death experience, I guess. said they had bitten out of like something and they had a white robe on and it dripped onto their robe, but then it would like disappear. But it was the most beautiful tasting, or amazingly delicious food they'd ever had. Blah, blah, blah. And so she wanted that, but none of the other, what she didn't like. But if there isn't going to the bathroom by like animals and people, probably there's like that ground needs that nourishment. That nourishment produces nutrients for the plants. And it's just it's just a big cycle. But I don't know why I was going down that road. Tell me.
You contrast. We were talking about.
Oh, yeah. Like, so in heaven, they would say that there is emotional, right? Happiness. But you cannot have happiness if you don't have its opposite.
Yeah.
You can't have it. There has to be opposites.
Yeah.
Opposites create the contrast. If there's no opposites, so the very basic opposite is light and no light.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the most probably basic. I don't know. Maybe you can get more basic than that, but light or no light. I mean, light brings a lot of things. There's a lot of variation in how much light and no light there is, right? There's a little less light on you right now than on me. And if we go out in a broad day sun, there's going to be more light. See what I'm saying? Like, so there's just variation in between there, but you have to have, I can't say I'm happy because I have to compare it to something. Yeah. It's a comparison word. So if I say I can say I'm happy, but happy in comparison to what? How does somebody else know if they're happy? They have to compare it to somebody or something. Does that making sense?
Yeah. And they'd say that is the tree of knowledge.
Well, yeah, probably. Yes, I guess maybe in a way. Yeah, the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
We could always tell you you're happy now. You'd be like, oh, I guess I'm happy.
Yeah, you would say this is happy. Now, if somebody came along and they're like, and you're just like, this is happiness to you. And you're like, well, I'm happy. And then someone's coming along skipping and they're like, I'm happy. And now all of a sudden you're like, you're happy and you look like that. And I'm happy and I look like this. You're happy and you feel good. I'm happy and I feel not good. So then all of a sudden we have to see, that's why we have to have some sort of, I don't know how to explain it, but that's really like, you have to have that range. You cannot be happy without knowing what sadness is.
Yeah.
Because you won't know when you get there. Or you won't know when you're happier or sadder. So you at least need the comparison of earth. Maybe that's what Christians are thinking. Well, you can compare it against earth. But then if you're never sad, like there's some amazing things that have happened in my sadness. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to go back to the moments of them, but I can think of dark nights of the soul where I was just like, I don't know if I even want to be here anymore. This is so painful. And those are the moments where something just hits you, like, you start to shift upward. Mm-hmm. You start to pull upward, and that's invigorating. That's so healing. Like, I don't know that I would want to go eternity without experiencing that ever again. As terrible as it is, it has a purpose.
So. Yeah, I mean, contrast is necessary. Otherwise, you don't know. Mm-hmm. And you just kind of, it's like the Lego movie. All the Legos were told that this is happiness. This is your favorite song. This is what everything is. This is perfect.
Was that in the Lego? It was in the Lego movie?
The original one. Remember, they all had the favorite, what's your favorite song?
No, I need to go back and watch that.
So,
can't remember.
But you need that contrast so you can actually find your uniqueness and what you are. Mm-hmm. But we need to put a bow on this one because we're getting up to our time limit. So in this, we kind of went from a lot of stuff. Did you enjoy your little random
I did.
day?
I feel better. I was angry. Happy? Yeah, I do feel happier. I feel happier than I was. Yes.
I'm happy too.
Both happy.
But yeah, sorting through facts and opinions on life and how much work that is into it. Disproving the Bible again. Disproving heaven again. We covered it all, folks. Mm-hmm. But I mean, the simple thing is that it's a tough time, and we need this time to kind of let us appreciate the good times later. But as we said earlier in the episode, we can't let them good times be less than what we've already experienced as good times, like the powers that be want us to do.
Mm-hmm.
We have to remember what the true levels of happiness were and try to exceed them.
You have to
set the bar lower.
No, here's one of the biggest things that if you're going to take away something from what we're saying, okay? The government is trying to lull you into hypnosis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? They're not stupid. The military uses hypnosis. They know how to use hypnosis, okay? It's a form of hypnosis is a way of putting somebody into high suggestibility. And the way you're going to break it is by bringing yourself into the present moment as often as you possibly can. So here's an example from this week when I was getting nervous and scared. What I do is I bring myself into the present moment like I'm safe right now, right here in this moment. My needs are met. I have food, I have shelter, I have a job, I have water, I have clothing. These things are met. I'm okay right here, right now. And that calms my nervous system so that I can listen for where I can help out in the world rather than being scared of the world. So that's the advice I could give you. I know some people say, don't tell people that they, to just focus on the right now because all these things are happening all over the world and they need to be paying attention. No, you cannot help the world if you don't actually first make sure your needs are like Maslow's pyramid. The basic needs are those bottom ones. Once those, you understand those are filled and you step up into the next way of thinking and you can do more. So
do more. Bling.
Stop, please.
Valentine's Day.
No, that's over.
That was last week. We had to carry on. So, but yeah, just know what's being done. And that's the biggest thing to kind of pull away from this is just understand this is what they're trying to do. They're trying to lower your ceiling, your bar in your life, so that when they drop you down into the doldrums and bring you back up, they don't have to bring you back up as far. And they're going to reap the benefit of that difference and put it in their pocket, their happiness. So just understand what's going on and keep holding them to the fire because they're not cute. They're not funny. They're not smart. They think they are, but they're pretty obvious in what they're doing, and we can see it.
They want your attention.
Yeah, they want it and they need it, and that's what they feed on. So if you can keep reclaiming and just understand that it's not about getting egg prices down to $2 a dozen, because we should be able to get them down to under $1 a dozen. We used to be able to do it.
Yeah, we definitely could still do it.
Now let's set the bar. And yeah, I mean, think about gas.
They definitely don't need to be. We don't need to be having billionaires. We really don't. There's no reason to have $1 billion. So that's more than any human could live in 10, 100 probably lifetimes over.
Yeah. So let's take down all the billionaires.
And they're going to take down this podcast.
So yeah, just conquer the day, bring it down to your level, and see
by that I think he means get in the present moment.
Yeah. Exactly. Thank you.
And if something's not met in that one of those needs, then if you bring yourself in the present moment, okay, what are the facts? Do I have a home? I don't have a job? Then you start doing, okay, what can I do to help myself get that one fulfilled, right? And your subconscious will start looking for that rather than living in fear. You actually have a plan. You start to formulate a plan to move. Yeah. So you get yourself unstuck.
It's dealing with what you can actually deal with instead of worrying about the stuff you can't deal with. Because you're one small voice in the thing. But when you start dealing with your individual stuff, and you'll start aligning with people dealing with their individual stuff, and then as a mass, you'll be able to deal with the big stuff. So just keep that in mind. Keep hope, because there will be sunshine tomorrow. Bet your bottom dollar that tomorrow there'll be sun.
Tomorrow. Is that what you're waiting for?
Yep.
I love you tomorrow. Did I love you?
Yeah. It's only a day away. All right. So we had that. Thank you, Annie. Go to our website, danacan.com. It's got all things related to us and what we do, all our podcasts, all Candy's podcast, all of Candy's hypnotherapy, our stores and all that. So go check it out. Click on it. Give it a look. We're constantly putting stuff on there and updating and all that.
Not
So
constantly. We're trying to get better at that.
nonstop 24/7. Candy has been doing
I
it.
need to start the blog up and stuff. I've got more.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Candy's been working on it while we record tonight. It's a constant monitoring she does. So, yeah, she's multifaceted talent. Give us 5 stars. That's one small thing you can control.
What's one small thing that you can do today?
Go
5 stars.
Give us 5 stars. Leave a little review. Ask us a question. Even on the episode, it helps. We love it. We love interactions. So leave us a rating and give us a happiness. 4 stars means you don't give a shit about your own personal being.
And that's our opinion.
No, 5 stars would be greatly appreciated. So go up and give us that. And as always, remember.
I want you to say that line first because I have a new ending.
Remember, listen to us.
Because we have a lot of opinions.
Bye.
Bye.